Hello guys, I want to make some opinion videos, but I'm I don't want to turn my channel a video game critic opinion thing. However, sometimes I have things in my mind and I just want to discuss them. And I had some interesting thought. And maybe I'll do it while playing in the background, and I see how it goes because usually when I play in the background, I don't know how people do it, or I could just record some clip and have it run and talk in front with a script. I don't talk with a script, I just maybe that's my mistake. I don't prepare a careful script where I talk it in front of the microphone and try it again and again. So it's gonna be a bit ugly, like most of my videos in my other channels. So you know that it used to be that back in the days there were so many videos. It started with few YouTubers. Matthew Matons is the most famous. And there was a general consensus that Dark Souls 2 is the bad one. Dark Souls 2 is the bad one because of this, of that, because Miyazaki didn't do it, because for whatever reason. And because of the actual flaws, of course. But it became such a common opinion that you were hearing players to just mimic, saying, I haven't played it, or I played it a little bit, and then I hate it, and I quit. But I have to say to that, I also, the first time I played Dark Souls 1, I got in trouble, and it didn't attract me, and I stopped playing, and I died in the skeletons in the graveyards, which is not the place to go first. But it's not the problem that they let me go. I like that they let me go to the graveyards, and it wasn't linear. But it was both I wasn't using the controls, the difficulty, something, and I lost interest. And then I had to go back again for some reason. I found sometime during the 2020 lockdowns plenty of time, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go through it, and then I started liking. But that's the same experience with Dark Souls 2. But people are like, I played it a bit, it sucked compared to what I know from Dark Souls 1, and it's bad because it has an elevator that goes to a lava place. So there were a lot of people who didn't even play the game, but they had the opinion. The opinion was the general consensus. It was culturally expected to say Dark Souls 2 is a flawed game. It's not good. It's the bad one. So it's very rare for someone to say, actually, I have to defend that and it's good. And the only one who defended that. So if I search Dark Souls 2 is bad, I find all videos. Now, the one that is 1 year is, why does everyone hate Dark Souls 2? A 4 year Feeble Kid, why I still hate Dark Souls 2? And Feeble Kid has made a video a long time ago. And also was worse than you remember. That's 2 years. But now this is about, no, it's not good, and you just misremember. You misremember that it was good. So some of the videos, Ballad of a Bunny, Dark Souls 2 still suck. Why was the bad? Feels off. Only 9 years ago, only H Bomber guy. Even Julie the Witch. I'm sorry, but we have to face the facts. Look, in reality, every Souls game is bad. It has things that are bad. It has things that you can point and say, this is bad game design. But it has things that are really good. And if you enjoy the game more than you hate it, maybe I was the Julie the Witch. haven't seen this really the Witch video. And now Dark Souls took so 10 years later. Is Dark Souls 2 really that bad? Now, if you so you already see some more recent videos. Dark Souls 2 is actually good. You might say you still get the In Defense of Dark Souls 2 by Edge Bomber guy. It's criminally underrated. Was always good, Cowboy. Was Dark Souls 2 was always good. I've got that. It's good. I hated Dark Souls. Now it's my favorite in the trilogy. Dark Souls 2 critiques are slop. Still good cowards. Is Dark Souls 2 actually over? Dark Souls 2 is actually a good game. It's actually really good. So you see more recent. You see a revision, and I don't know if I can find it anymore. But I was just scrolling through my Twitter, and somewhere someone says, "What happened? I hate that suddenly we have this revision of these videos that are like this." Is it not revisionism? Like, no, Dark Souls 2 was good actually. It was never bad. No, we changed our mind. And that someone posted a video and then it became like a new cultural trend and people are posting, oh, actually I skipped Dark Souls 2 because they told me to skip and now I went back after so many years. And he was like, why do we have this phenomenon suddenly? And there are so many videos in my feed that says, oh, it's actually good. It's actually, we were misled by the internet. It was all a lie. Why this revision is now? We established it that it's bad. We had all these videos. This is the problem. So many years ago, you established it that it's bad, and now most people were regurgitating the same opinions because of some famous YouTuber. Okay, I guess some people played and didn't like it. But as I say, the first time I played Dark Souls 1 and also struggled with Dark Souls 3, I didn't like it. But because if you say Dark Souls 3, you secret thing. Now you might see some. There are people who are, but you always see it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. Dark Souls 2 is a masterpiece. Is a masterpiece. Is a masterpiece. Is a is a okay. Now there is a master because if you say it's a, it will autocomplete. It's a masterpiece and a bad game. It's a good game and scholar ruined it. You saw this is the cultural consensus. It also has is a bad game. It's a masterpiece. It doesn't. It's an anime. It's amazing. It's actually easy. There is no bad game for Dark Souls 3. Now there is Dark Souls 1. There might be a bad game because people come from Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne and Sekiro with the fast action and they go to Dark Souls 1, people who haven't played, and a lot of people like it, still like it, but some people are like, what, that's clunky, that's very slow. That's, where is the fast action? This is so janky, man. How did people, why did everyone thought it is a masterpiece? So that's the phenomenon. Bloodborne is a masterpiece. There is a bad game. Sekiro is a masterpiece. It's a rhythm game. Oh my god, but there is also a bad game. Elden Ring. Now, people are divided about Elden Ring. It's a masterpiece, prequel to also a bad game. Perfectly balanced. I guess there is not much different, but That is a good gamer score. It's actually easy, guys. Yeah, in fact, it's very easy. Anyway, the goal is not to talk, or I could do it. The goal is to, I don't know, play a bit and talk about it. But this is my build in my recent, the one that I might want to stop playing. Maybe I can. Okay, we're gonna look at Majula. Here's the thing. Okay, here is my argument. Why this sudden cultural change? Because because people have been exposed now in much harder FromSoft games, and they look at it from a distance. Okay, what happened back in the day? Back in the day, people played Dark Souls 1. They must have hated at first. Then it grew on them. Then they said, wow, that's actually good. You just have to get good. It will feel unfair, but it's really fair. That's where the difficult but fair was born. Which is an oxymoron. If you play even Dark Souls 1, the masterpiece Dark Souls 1, first time you say, what is this shit? What is, I'm dying for bullshit reasons. There are clunky stuff. There's, and it might be hard, and some people might even quit and say, that's not for me, I stop playing, I uninstall it. Some people have come later, they had trouble and they didn't like it, and they came back later, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years later, because there was something still mysterious about Dark Souls 1. And people, and because of the mythology, I mean, because of people talking about it, because some people have made identities around Souls games, and then they they got better with it. It clicked. It clicked on us. Oh my god, this is what I was doing wrong, and I was dying. Although it gets later, hard later again, but then they remember that, yeah, I need to insist and change my strategies, and eventually you finish the first game and you play a second playthrough, and the second playthrough is better. And you're, oh, I started loving this game, and now the things that I was struggling with, I'm much better with these things. And I know also where to get some good stuff to help me in my quest. So suddenly, you become a Dark Souls 1 veteran. And you feel good and you play for years, and there isn't a Dark Souls 2 for many years. And then Dark Souls 2 is announced, and everybody is hyped. And then it comes, and Dark Souls 2 changed the rules. Dark Souls 2, okay, reduce the... It has this ADP thing, of course, but if you know it, it's not that bad. From what I heard, now I have a very low pause, of course, because of my build. Poise, I didn't know. I didn't even know about poise in Dark Souls 1 the first time. The first time I was putting some... There were some really good armors that had zero poise, good protection. That they should have some poise. In Dark Souls 1, if you put some leather thing, there was no poise. You had to put some metallic armor, some heavy armor to have actual poise. But poise mattered more. Suddenly you wouldn't get staggered. And now they nerf the poise. They have this agility ADP which you wouldn't know at first. The enemies might have been more aggressive. Especially, I realized that in vanilla, the aggro ranges are higher. They changed the rule. They say, no, 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 you cannot go to a fog wall and have invisible frame. And we are gonna make the chest. Okay, it sounds artificial, but they also did artificial things in every. Well, I don't believe in the term artificial difficulty because it's subjective. Something that you think it's fair, it might be artificial. But anyway, so they did change the rules. The movements, okay, you do have the movement is different, but how can I play this so well after many times and position myself perfectly when I'm fighting? Uh, which one was I fighting? The Pursuer. The Pursuer was supposed to be the first time. Was my God, this is hard, and everybody was using the ballista. But now I'm just I see how I play. I play. I feel very fluid when I play. I feel like I'm doing really good with this game, and that makes it feel good, and that makes it feel like a good game. And if I get better in Dark Souls 3, I struggle with Dark Souls 3, and I struggle with modern FromSoft games because the attacks are so crazy that I rarely feel good. I rarely feel that I do with the bosses really good choices in whether I should attack, roll, or heal. Everything's chaotic. I'm trading blows. I'm healing and getting hit. I'm healing at the wrong times. I'm rolling at the wrong times. The game tells you roll, 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 roll many times, and then some of the attacks catch me, and people say, "Yeah, you panicked roll." Yeah, but I had to roll. And the timing, there are like 5, 6, 7, 10, 11 attacks with very confusing patterns that it's really Dance Revolution. And yeah, here's the thing. So when people went from Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2, things changed that they hated. They didn't got, of course, the interconnectivity of Dark Souls 1. They got a different thing. But this different thing now has qualities that are not you don't find in Dark Souls 1, you don't find in Dark Souls 3 or Elden Ring. And anyway, so they hated it. And now I have to make my point. Here's why do we have the new videos? Because many people skip Dark Souls 2 and now they have been exposed to Elden Ring, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Elden Ring, Night Ring. There are bosses that used to exist in Dark Souls 2 and they made a reappearance in Elden Ring and Night Ring, which I have never played because it's mostly a multiplayer thing. And people are like, whoa, that boss was from Dark Souls 2. I never played Dark Souls 2 because I skipped it or I don't know. And now, here's the thing. They come back. They come back from much harder games. And they're like, I thought I would hate this game. But I don't have to roll 11 times around Malenia. And there is no Malenia waterfall attack and big AoEs and big crazy attacks. It's simple. I'm thrown in an old game. It's nostalgic. It's historical. Like, oh my god, that was the Dark Souls 2 I never experienced. And it's not that bad because I have everything is slower and methodical, and it's more like an RPG, which is interesting. And it has all these interesting mechanics. So they come here. They see Majula, of course. Now this is vanilla because I'm running. They play the game. They realize, oh, from vanilla, this is beautiful. There is this path there. And there is a path above to some other place. There is the pit below, and there is such a cozy village. And they start finding some nice cozy stuff. There is the other path. Okay, you can see far things. I know you can see Heidi's tower there. I don't care here heavily. So imagine not not when you finish Dark Souls 1 back in the day and Dark Souls 2 was coming, and you would hate it immediately. You would hate it until you got used to it. Now there is Hidey Tower, but the location are disconnected. It's not that far. If I go down this tunnel, it's closer. There is this location which I think is... That looks like a Buddha statue. But what it really is we can see it from here. So imagine that you're now, you played all the FromSoft and you come here and you find some historical curiosity even, and that makes it interesting. And it's not a bad historical curiosity. This is supposed to be the wood, it's not very connected. Forest of the Fallen Giants. And this is where you go. This is not a Buddha statue. This is the back of these knight statues. That's the first building you enter there, with the birds above. You can see even. So okay, they try to say yeah, you can see everything, but they're not really connected. There is the Drunk Lake Castle there, and there's some other. And here's the thing, so they play this thing which is a historical game, and it's different. One thing is different. It's not the same FromSoft, especially the today roll-slop, 11 attacks and so on. It's different, and it plays like a very curious, very interesting game. And then they discover, and they got tired. There's another. They have FromSoft fatigue. Like I cannot another one with super hard bosses. This is what Dark Souls 2 used, and it's not so bad. It's interesting. I want to go through this. The locations are amazing. You have all these interesting items. Maybe too much healing items. Who cares? Who cares? You have the depetrifying things. You have a lot of interesting. A lot of. Now I've sold most of my weapons. A lot of weapons that are unique. And I don't seem to have it because I use them. No. And then they discover Bonfire Ascetic. They discover the torches. They discover, whoa, you can put a torch, and you might say, Dark Souls 3 has a torch, Elden Ring has a... Yeah, it has a torch as a weapon. It doesn't have a torch that if you roll in water, it will burn out. It doesn't have a torch with a timer, and little torches you can open things, making the spiders afraid. Going to these torches and lighting your torch and lighting other torches, and with all these shadows and everything, and it doesn't have that. The torch, they say, oh, it has a torch, but it's more interesting. Not just, it's not, the torch is not a weapon. It's something more interesting. You have dark weapons. They discover this. They discover that they have dark magic, pyromancy, so many spells, so many things, maybe too many, but Elden Ring has too many. They discover a lot of little details, now I don't remember. They discover of course that you have a lot of fashion souls. They move to the levels, they go to, I don't know, they go to the hated Iron Keep or others, and they discover that, whoa, there are levers here I can use to my advantage. There are so many environmental stuff. This guy is still here. They discovered that, yeah, Iron Keep is supposed to be hard, but it wasn't. It wasn't that much. . And now I die. I fell with a piece. Now this is a short video and I cannot. I should have made clips, but I cannot do it. They discover all these, and the locations are unique. They are unique and beautiful. Just look at the icons. They are so diverse compared to other games. And they go and fight bosses. I don't have a boss anymore. And they're like, the boss is not that hard. It's actually much easier and more cozier. The bosses are cozy. The bosses are like, finally. All this cool location, all this. When I came to Dark Souls 3, sure the engine was better, but the locations stopped being interesting. I don't know. I don't know what it is. The locations stopped being so magical. Now you might say this is great. No, it has color, it has the green sky. And that's not the best location. People remember the location with the dragon. So they discover all this. And they're like, now of course I could make a video essay with pointing some location, but that's not the point. The thing is, the reason why there are so many videos now of rediscovering Dark Souls 2 and whoa, I thought it was bad but it's good. Also people who played Dark Souls 2 in the past. You played Dark Souls 2 a bit, there was the negative bias, you also didn't like it, but you know what, initially I also didn't like Dark Souls 1. I started playing in my other channel, but this channel is a bit about coding stuff. Do I have Dark Souls 1? Ah, I don't have Dark Souls 1 here. Interesting, I thought I had. So I have the other channel where I played Doom, and I started because I want to separate my gameplay videos from my other channel. I don't see Dark Souls anymore. Ah, yeah. I might have a lot of videos actually. It would be interesting to see if I can watch myself play, my first Dark Souls experience again. I made a lot of Dark Souls and then I left and say I need to make another because the other one is about the FPS and Doom. Oh, these are also Dark Souls 3 is when I started playing Dark Souls 3. Derp Souls 2 is when I played Derp Souls. I could see my first experience with Derp Souls. You know, my first Derp Souls Dark Souls 2 experience was the vanilla and not the scholar. And it was even at the time when the scholar was already there. But I bought the game from him. I bought Dark Souls 2. I didn't know there was another, and so I had to buy the game twice. And I started, and my brother said, "You are not playing scholar," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I started now, and I will continue with this one." And so my first experience was vanilla. So I played a bit, and then I migrated to my new channel because Book of the Cat was supposed to be about playing Doom. And I don't know, Dark Noob. I called it Dark Noobs. This is here I'm playing Prepare to Die edition. This is I'm gonna. And then again, my brother said there is the remastered edition. Is this the remaster? And I think I played. I cannot see the exact. I played, and then I stopped. And then I came back months later and restarted. So I restarted the game. That's what I remember. Or maybe, and I'm doing some silly things here, like I'm attacking. Am I doing that here? I don't do it here. Maybe there's another playthrough. I was attacking this guy. I forget his name. He's a very well-known guy, and I don't know his name. And I realized I thought I would attack like Skyrim. I attack him, and then I stop attacking, and I reload my save or something, and then I realized no, everything is permanent, and I restarted my game. There are some very weird. So if I see it, I will be like, what was I doing? My God. Some very weird experience. And I went on with that. I went on with Dark Souls 2. I hate it, but I went on. Something attracted me to this game. With Rage Quit uninstall the comeback. This is only on the DLC. But Dark Souls 3, if you see Dark Souls 3 in my other channel, my first playthrough, I had more Rage Quits. And anyway, I have to stop this. The point is, the reason you don't see as many Dark Souls 2 is bad, but Dark Souls 2 is actually good or is peak. I hated Dark Souls 2 now. Now it's my favorite. Might actually the reason that there this revisionist, like, oh, they call it revision because they established it. They established it that Dark Souls 2 was bad universally. Everyone is wrong about Dark Souls 2, but I'm right about Dark Souls 2. The reason that there is this revision. So, do you have Dark Souls 3 is actually it's actually easy. Dark Souls 2 is actually good. There is no actually good. Dark Souls 3 is already a masterpiece. It's established. is actually peak. Oh, so there is an opinion about Demon Soul is bad. The first thing that comes is actually easy, actually hard, actually fun, actually. Bad is the first thing. Huh, good comes. Ah, but no, Demon Souls is A. I don't get. It's a bad. Dark Souls 3 is a masterpiece. Dark Souls 2. Interesting. A, it doesn't get you. It's a masterpiece. You have to. This could be the cultural. Elden Ring is actually easy. That's the only thing they say. Dark Souls 2 is actually it's actually good. It's actually easy, guys. Yeah. There is a Dark Souls 3 is bad. There is a Dark Souls is actually. So it's the opposition of an opinion. No, this game is bad. This game. There is no is actually bad because everybody. Oh, it's a masterpiece. Obviously, obviously, Dark Souls 3 is the masterpiece, and the Dark Souls 2 is the obviously really bad game. But that's not the point. You know, I'm ranting about Dark Souls 2. The point is that why do we have these videos of remission? And because people have come back from the present, they have experienced much harder things, and they come back and say, "Oh, that's actually cozy. You have Majula. You have all these interesting mechanics. The things that I used to think are hard. Okay, there is some junkiness. I might get clipped because of low ADP, but still, I can play with low ADP. I can more easily predict what the boss is gonna do or what the enemies are gonna do after playing few times. It's an easier game. It's an easier game because it's you can predict it's slow and methodical as they say. Same with Dark Souls 1. It's since Dark Souls 3 that it's like, okay, I don't understand what's going on. I'm rolling 11 times. And then they tell me I panic roll, but this game wants me to panic roll. So what does this game actually wants me to do? So when people come from the modern games to the original, they have a cozier experience. In the past, they had a really bad experience coming from Dark Souls 1 as veterans, and the rules have changed. Maybe there is some artificial difficulty, whatever. I hate the term. And they find something different that they have to adapt, no pun intended. And they were like, I suddenly don't like that. It suddenly makes me feel bad. I was feeling good when I became a veteran of Dark Souls 1, and I thought that would continue. But they forget that it wasn't always like this. The first time you played Dark Souls 1, you hated it. You never wanted to play this game, and it grew up on you. And they might have, some people skipped. They played Dark Souls 2 a little bit, and they said, "Fuck, I hate this game. I'm gonna go to Dark Souls 3. I don't like it." Now, Dark Souls 3 also, if you play Dark Souls 3, the rules have changed. So maybe, but maybe because of the positive, no, it's a masterpiece. You have to continue playing it, or something. Maybe they stayed. I don't know because I also struggled with. I struggled more with Dark Souls 3 personally. But imagine coming from the modern games. That's. I repeat the same point. I think this is why we have this video. They come from the modern game. They have been trained to much harder situation, much more annoying, playing the same boss 50 times, and even some enemies are more brutal in a way. They are hyper aggressive, insanely. Like how do you fight certain things in Elden Ring or Although some of the early enemies are cozy. In Dark Souls 3, you have everything staggers you and jumps at you, and they talk about mobs in Dark Souls 2. They come from the new to the old one. It's now a historical curiosity, so they are more open. They are more open actually, and they are like, oh, that's actually cozy. This boss is easy, and I come to look at a new location, and maybe the enemy encounters are more demanding in a way. They demand me to not run past the enemies. They demand me to play it like it's an RPG, and it's interesting. It has this interesting mechanics that never made it. The power stancing, bonfire aesthetics, and some other items also. And it has the fashion souls. It has a lot of interesting things. It's a historical curiosity that I can now enjoy even more than modern FromSoft games because it demands less from me than avoiding Malenia's waterfall 11 roll and what they did on the DLC. It's even more demanding than Dark Souls 3, which you will die many times in some of the mid-late games, yeah, bosses. And that's it, my point, guys. That's it. That is my point. That's and I'm gonna cut it here. But we are getting a lot of these videos. You don't, yeah, you get various videos, pro and again, but we get a lot more. Oh, actually, I liked it because people are rediscovering it, and it's easier to get now into it than in the past because they've gone through much worse bullshit. Now the bullshit in Dark Souls 2 are different. Like why I have low ADP and I get hit and things feel janky sometimes. So if you will revisionism. Because personally, I have a much more enjoyable time with Dark Souls 2 than anything else these days. And that's why I have to get out of it because I'm getting addicted and I have to play Dark Souls 3. I have to make a Bloodborne playthrough, maybe with the new PS4 emulator if my system can run it. I could look at the PS3 emulator to play here Demon Souls. I've played this on my real PS3 and real PS5, but I want to make a stream where I go through the games again. I never finished Bloodborne. I left it in the middle, but I finished Demon Souls many times on PS3, and I was playing also the remaster on PS5, but I prefer the PS3. And I could play Lies of I could try some different ones, which I played without capturing a bit. Not haven't finished, but I should make a blind playthrough of some of these games and see. And that's it, guys. See you in the next video. Bye.